This is breaking news.
An elderly woman was shot by a Hearn police officer tonight and rushed to St. Joseph Hospital in Bryan, where she died. That was confirmed by St. Joseph just a short time ago. Now, that shooting happened at a home at the intersection of Kearney Street and Pin Oak Street near Hearn High School.
A large crowd gathered at the scene after that shooting as police tried to gather evidence. News 3 Clay Falls joins us live from Hearn. And Clay, we've heard that Texas Rangers have been called in for this investigation.
Yes, John and Meredith, the Texas Rangers as well as Robertson County District Attorney are investigating after a 93-year-old woman was shot and killed by a police officer who was responding to her home. Multiple people on scene have told us that she was shot potentially at least 5 times. Now, neighbors and friends have identified her as Pearlie Golden, while her nickname and most commonly known name was Miss Suley. It was a pretty heated tonight, with residents questioning why an elderly woman would be shot at her home, as she was pretty well known here in the community. Hearn police were not ready to share the circumstances of the shooting or say if she was armed or why the officer felt threatened, but the district attorney tells us it was not a random encounter and police were called to her home for some reason.
All I know at this time is that they were called out here, so they were dispatched out here to address the situation. Again, I'm not sure exactly what that situation was, but it was not a random encounter.
Even if she did have a gun, she's in her 90s. I mean, they could have like shot in the air to scare her. Maybe she would have dropped it. I mean, I don't see her really shooting anyone. I mean, she's been around here her whole life.
And the district attorney adds that this case will eventually be presented to a grand jury for a formal review, which is a standard procedure in these type of incidents. Right now, stay with News 3 for the latest on this breaking and very tragic case. Reporting live in Hearn, Clay Falls, News 3.
All right, thanks, Clay. Hearn police say they are working on a news release and hope to share some answers with us very soon.
Songs of praise, prayers, and flickering candles lit the darkening skies in Hearn along Pin Oak Street. Just 24 hours earlier, 93-year-old Pearlie Golden was shot and killed at her home when police say she threatened a relative with a revolver.
We can't change nothing if we won't change us. So we praise God. We give God the glory.
William Adams is the senior minister at Providence Baptist Church in Hearn and called Golden, most commonly known as Mrs. Suley, a fishing buddy.
In that 93 years, she was a member of the Oilo Missionary Baptist Church, where she spent most of her services there until her age and her mind began to change at a certain period.
During the vigil, Hearn Mayor Ruben Gomez addressed the crowd, saying the officer who shot Golden, Stephen Stem, will be a topic of discussion at a Saturday City Council meeting.
This incident is on the agenda and action will be taken. I just want to assure the public that we are concerned as well as everyone here today.
The council will deliberate on his employment, discipline, or dismissal.
As people gather to pay respects for Mrs. Suley, Vigil organizers are praying for not only peace, but also patience as the Hearn Police, Robertson County District Attorney, and Texas Rangers investigate why the shooting happened.
Some brought flowers and others laid candles at the corner of Golden's home.
And we do know that God is love, and if we're going to be a greater city, a greater place to live, we're going to have to love one another.
In Hearn, Clay Falls, News 3.
Wreckage still lines the streets of Moore, Oklahoma, nearly 3 months after a deadly tornado there. And people across the country are doing what they can to assist with the cleanup efforts. This past weekend, young adults from Bryan College Station headed there to help. News
3's Clay Falls shows us how the group from First United Methodist Church in Bryan made a difference for a day.
Their images still beyond belief the first time you see the devastation here in Moore, Oklahoma. An EF5 tornado with winds upwards of 210 miles an hour devastated the Oklahoma City suburb May 20th, killing 25 and injuring 377 people. But help continues to come. On Saturday, 12 young adults from First United Methodist Church in Bryan spent the day helping their friends in the Sooner State. Mariah Johnson of Bryan grew up in Oklahoma and organized the trip.
we all prayed about it and knew that this was something that we really wanted to do, was to come up here.
Here and more, the damage could end up costing over $2 billion. Nearly 3 months after the tornado, debris litters entire neighborhoods like this one. FEMA's deadline for picking up all this trash is this week. Douglas Burdett lives across the street from where the Texas team was working.
This window got hit with something right here and just literally exploded into the house.
His daughter, who is a substitute teacher, and granddaughter survived the destruction at Briarwood Elementary, a short distance away, he says, because of prayers.
There was a lot of injuries at school, but they all survived it. It was just a total miracle.
Meanwhile, church members like young adult minister John Wayne McMahon worked at 2 sites, leaving only slabs as signs. Homes once stood here.
You see an event like this and you can't help take notice and be moved by it.
The reminders remain as the city even tested the tornado sirens during our time here.
We're going to stay right here, keep on going, rebuild, and see new neighbors come in.
Hope on the horizon, with hands here to help. In Moore, Oklahoma, Clay Falls, News 3.
Residents say church groups from many other states have also been coming to help.
And disaster responders say the volunteer workers helping clean up are saving homeowners upwards of $10,000 at these sites, as some insurance plans don't cover demolition.
You're watching KBTX News 3.
Well, we know bacteria are all around us, some good and some bad, and it's the bad stuff we sometimes worry about.
But could your office make you sick? News 3's Clay Falls joins us live in the News Center with a special investigation on germs in the workplace. Clay?
John Meredith, we wanted to know what's lurking on common surfaces you probably come to contact with every day, from keyboards to kitchen faucets. To find out, we put a local cleaning company and our own newsroom under the microscope.
Bacteria are all around, inside us and on us. What's under the surface isn't always a pretty picture, but not all bacteria is bad.
The bacteria will stick into the whorls of your finger.
Sandy Jones deals with bacteria every day at work as the Director of Laboratory Services at the Brazos County Health Department.
Some places have more than others, but you will find bacteria. We have lots of them on our hands. Even when we wash our hands, we still have bacteria.
To find out how clean things really are, we put a local business and our own newsroom to the test. Jennifer Rodriguez and Rachel Welgus know quite a bit about the cleaning business. They are customer service representatives for Molly Maid and College Station and have their place cleaned weekly.
We do clean houses all the time, and so most of the team members bring all the germs back here.
On our first visit, Rachel here had a cold. They let us test their office with equipment donated and some instructions from the Brazos County Health Department. So we tested Rachel's keyboard, the Molly Maid front door handle, Jennifer's keyboard, and lastly, her mouse.
I hope you don't find a horde of abnormal bacteria. I'll be eagerly awaiting the results.
Office break rooms are oftentimes one of the most common culprits where you can find lots of germs growing, so we thought we'd test the KBTX kitchen faucet.
Experts recommend washing your hands often.
I don't necessarily have the cleanest desk at KBTX, and a lot of times, due to the daily deadline of turning stories, I'll eat my lunch with one hand while working on the computer and typing. So we're going to test my keyboard too.
Next, we took our samples to the St. Joseph Hospital Pathology Lab in Bryan, where they tested the bacteria. Kim Dubose is a microbiology technical specialist here.
Yes, we did find bacteria on your samples.
The dirtiest Petri dish prize goes to us at KBTX and our kitchen faucet handle. Lots of normal skin bacteria, but also bacteria from things like fecal matter you'd find in the restroom, which could make you sick.
What you might find when people don't wash their hands after the restroom.
And the bacteria was colorful under the microscope.
The pinkish red ones are, they're actually some cells that have begun to die.
My keyboard had bacteria and some mold. But what about the mouse that Molly made?
As you can see, it has a lot less bacteria on it.
Employees thought their door handle would be the dirtiest, but
amazingly clean. We only found 2 or 3 different bacteria on this one. Again, normal skin flora, nothing pathogenic.
Jennifer Rodriguez's phone was the dirtiest discovery at her office.
You're going to put it up to your face quite a bit, so it's again an area that you want to keep clean.
The bad news is that there were a lot of organisms that grew. The good news is most of them were not potentially pathogenic or disease-causing.
After speaking with the experts, we came back to Molly Maid so that they could see what our tests revealed.
The mouse is almost like there's nothing there. The Molly Maid door, wow, really not that much. I'm a little disheartened that my phone handle was the dirtiest thing in this office, but
I'm reassured because you said there was nothing infectious.
Rachel Welgus was surprised we didn't find more on her keyboard after she'd been sick.
Well, just continue to do everything we've been doing and maybe see if we can, do it a little bit more often than now and continue to keep everything clean.
Our experiment was limited to testing bacteria only, so it's not known if any viruses were lurking on any of the surfaces that we found. And John and Meredith, after the experiment, I wiped down and cleaned my own keyboard as well as our KBTX kitchen faucet after doing the story.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we've seen your keyboard, so we're glad you did that. No, we're just kidding. We're just kidding, Clay. All right.
You've inspired us to be cleaner.
Stay clean.
Thanks, Clay. While 5 of the 6 samples were really cause for concern, lab officials told us there was still a chance you could get sick if you have a paper cut or wound and come in contact with the bacteria we found.
The best advice is to wash your hands frequently and disinfect your workspace.
A fire sweeping through your house in the middle of the night. It's something you hope and pray never happens. In the event that it does, you may already have a game plan, but will your kids wake up if the smoke detector goes off? News 3's Clay Falls joins us live in the News Center with a special investigation on smoke alarm safety. And Clay, you were surprised by the results from your own experiment.
Yes, Meredith, fire departments have warned parents for years about the dangers of children sleeping through the blaring sound of traditional smoke alarms. Well, there's a way for you to record a personalized message on smoke detectors that could get your kids' attention better. We tested out both types of alarms on a Bryan family, and the results are something every parent should see. This sound is one you never want to hear, especially during the middle of the night. 8 years ago, a smoke alarm warned the Hamilton family of Bryan at 2 a.m. 4 members made it out alive. Sadly, their 7-year-old son Brandon Hubbard and niece Gabrielle Banks did not. The family's twins Victor and Vakia were badly burned too. Victor would later die. We still don't know why they didn't get out in time.
They didn't know when they went to bed Friday night that they might not get up or they would have such a tragedy in their lives.
Christina Seidel, the College Station Fire Department's public education officer, says it's not unusual for kids to sleep through alarms.
Some children, especially younger children, will sleep straight through it. The older kids, it tends to work a little bit better on.
Andrew and Jocelyn Duncan of Bryan have 2 boys, 6-year-old Tristan and 2-year-old Alex. They've discussed as a family what to do in a fire before and agreed to let us test the boys. Andrew says Tristan is a deep sleeper.
I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to respond to the fire alarm, so hopefully it'll do the trick. Alex, he's a little older than 2, and he's probably not going to understand what's going on.
After the boys had been in bed for about an hour, we set up a smoke detector in the hallway by both closed bedroom doors like it normally is for them. Cameras in each bedroom were rolling as well. Then a constant, ear-piercing sound of the smoke alarm blared in the hallway, but Alex and Tristan didn't even budge. This went on a full 5 minutes before we gave up.
I figured they would both wake up. I mean, it's a pretty loud alarm.
Yeah, I thought at least one of them would wake up. So I guess I'm surprised that neither one of them did.
Next, we showed the Duncans a device firefighters recommend. For $40 on Amazon.com, we bought a programmable smoke alarm where mom or dad can record a message.
Tristan and Alex, come outside immediately. There's a fire in the house.
It's getting close to 11:30 at the Duncans' house, and while the boys slept through our first test, we're now going to try a programmable smoke alarm with Jocelyn's voice on it to see if they wake up.
I'm hoping so. I figured they would waken more so with the loud alarm, but we'll give this one a chance.
Anything else? Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of really curious to see how it's going to work out. We had the alarm first time, alarm didn't work, so I really want to know if this one's going to do a better job.
Mom stands by in the hallway while we test the alarm.
Tristan and Alex, come outside immediately. There's a fire in the house.
But once again, another 5 minutes passes and no movement. We took it a step further and did one more test, this time with both of their bedroom doors open so it would be even louder. But to our surprise, that didn't work either after another full 5 minutes.
I'm thinking if this was a real fire, they would have slept through it. I mean, that's kind of scary to think of it that way.
While we didn't have the results parents would hope for in our experiment, other tests have shown a better response.
We have a fire. Go outside.
For the Duncan family, our test has them reevaluating their fire escape plan.
It just really makes you think about what you can do or what you should do for fire safety.
Firefighters recommend having smoke alarms in every bedroom of your house and the bedroom hallway. They also suggest you have your kids' rooms doors closed at night to potentially buy them more precious time from smoke and heat in a real fire. And while our tests with the programmable smoke alarms were not successful, firefighters in Bryan and College Station still highly recommend them as an option you might want to consider, Meredith.
Okay, very insightful. Thanks, Clay. Well, fire officials also recommend you have a fire drill for your kids at least twice a year, one during the day and the other at night.